I promised myself I'd never complain about the difficulty of a game because it's a useless conversation to have. Not only do people play games on a variety of difficulties, but we all come to different genres with different levels of skill. For example, the world's best Halo player might get their ass handed to them when they try out Final Fantasy VII. But I'm making an exception here for a couple of reasons. First, Super Mario World only has one difficulty level, so we all played the same game. Second, this shows how the game was made more accessible through a mechanic rather than its overall difficulty. That mechanic is the cutest little dinosaur ever to overtake Mario Kart 8's online mode, Yoshi, and his introductory game, Super Mario World. Super Mario Bros. 3 is one of the best video games of all time, and it's the first modern AAA game. Without this title, most video games today wouldn't exist. I won't go so far as to call the game literally perfect, but the only fair criticism of it is that some levels aren't as mind-blowingly inventive as others, and if I were in 1990, then yes, I would absolutely declare Mario 3 the perfect video game achievable by humankind with the tools available to them. So now that the perfect video game has been invented, where do they go from here? It's not like they can just do the same thing but with different levels. That's how you spiral into mediocrity, which is something Mario would later go on to do with the new Super titles. So they needed a gimmick, a selling point, something that would scream to the viewer to look at how this game is different from Mario 3. Their idea was to give him a dinosaur to ride. Now, while this was presented as cutesy and whimsical like we know Yoshi to be, does this not sound like an idea a coked up 90s Japanese businessman would come up with? Make him ride a dinosaur? I mean, I'm convinced that after the Famicom and NES money started rolling in, the Nintendo boardrooms looked like a goddamn snow globe. What other explanation could there be for the Bob Hoskins Mario movie and announcing Mario 3 inside of an unrelated film? But as crazy as the idea was, Miyamoto made it work when designing Mario World. In fact, he made it work too well, to the point where it was to the game's detriment. See, how Mario power-ups work is, you get the power-up and give yourself a unique ability until you take a hit. That ability determines how you approach the obstacles in front of you, and how your particular tool can be used to overcome them. The Fire Flower is used for brute force, and the Cape is used to try and avoid challenges altogether. When you make a mistake, you lose that power-up and go back to being regular Mario. It's as clean-cut as game design can be. However, the system has a few critical aspects that make it perfect, which Yoshi seemingly bypassed during the game's development. Firstly, you only get one singular ability per power-up. This is the crucial thing that balances the game, as it prevents players from ignoring the rest of the items instead of just maintaining one item. Even the invincibility you get from the Superstar doesn't have any range on it, so there's at least some kind of weakness on top of the risky time limit. Let's count Yoshi's abilities, shall we? An extraordinary speed boost, an insta-kill ranged attack with his tongue, with the ability to add even more range once he spits out fireballs with fruit, and of course a double jump, but this only works by discarding Yoshi, but it still applies. Yoshi is just about every power-up in the game combined, with the jump height of the Cape, the range of the Fire Flower, and the speed of the Superstar. There's no reason not to use Yoshi in every situation, because he's the perfect answer to every problem. Another critical aspect of a power-up he missed was disappearing after being hit. This is a core part of why Mario is better than Sonic. In Mario, when you get hit, it matters. You can't just instantly get back up. You lose some health and an ability alongside it. When you get hit with Yoshi, you're simply thrown off, as Yoshi slowly panics but runs around, and you can easily jump back on him and you're back up to full strength. Just like how you can basically cheat in Sonic by picking up the rings you just dropped. So why does the most broken power-up in the game have the weakest penalty for losing it? Is the game just designed around always being on Yoshi? Is that why the game is trying to ensure I spend most of it on his back? I think Nintendo agrees with me that Yoshi is simply an accessibility mode for younger players. What's my evidence for this, you ask? In Mario Wonder, he is literally the accessible mode for younger players, having invincibility and all manner of broken powers. And that's okay, obviously young kids should be allowed to play Mario, but I think Mario World taught Nintendo that Yoshi should be kept separate from the main games. Hell, look at his own spin-off series. Mario World 2 and the Crafted and Woolly World games are expressly designed for small children and advertise themselves as more docile and simpler games to play. That's not bad, but it should be kept out of mainline Mario games because Yoshi, to me, is essentially cheating. The really tragic thing about this is that Super Mario World is almost as good as Mario 3 when you do a no Yoshi playthrough, so in my opinion, having him in the game worsened it. But I think there is a way to fix Yoshi and make him a proper power-up by adding an element to him that most of the other power-ups share, overcoming a small challenge before you can acquire it. Besides the Fire Flower, every Mario power-up requires you to catch it before you can harness its power. This is another aspect of why Mario is such a sharply designed franchise. Meanwhile, Yoshi sits patiently atop his block, waiting to be commanded. How about if Yoshi panicked the second he spawned, and we had to catch him before he got himself killed? What reason would he have to panic, you ask? Well, how about the fact that he was just born, and he's literally a newborn baby that should be crying his eyes out at the sheer terror of his newfound existence? Overall, while Yoshi is adorable, I think Super Mario World proved to Nintendo that Yoshi is too powerful a tool when combined with Mario, and is better left as the star of his own series. I'll be back in another 2 days, and here's a video about the game design of the elephant apple from Mario Wonder.